Well, hi, everybody. We're coming back to the top of the hour, and we'll just wait a few seconds here before we get going with our third presentation on this fifth Braille Symposium. Well, the next topic is the Braille Challenge. I love the Braille Challenge. It's just such a wonderful opportunity for students to celebrate and show their skills in reading and writing Braille and reading tactile graphics. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce the presenter and moderator of this presentation on the Braille Challenge. Adam Wilton is the manager of the Provincial Resource Center for the Visually Impaired, PRCVI, in Vancouver, British Columbia. He has been an educator for well over 18 years, working mostly as a teacher for students who have visual impairments and an orientation and mobility specialist. Adam has numerous connections in the Braille world, both nationally and internationally. And one of the many hats he wears is coordinating the BC Regional Braille Challenge, now in its 13th year. Adam is joined by some panel members. I'm going to hand it over to you, Adam, to introduce these champions of Braille and Braille literacy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Daphne. And I should also acknowledge Daphne, in one of her many hats in the Braille world, was there on day one of our British Columbia Regional Braille Challenge and has supported us for many years. Hi, everyone. As Daphne mentioned, my name is Adam Wilton, and I'm here today as the regional coordinator of the British Columbia Regional Braille Challenge. And I'm not alone. I'm delighted to be joined by, for the first time ever, in one place at one time, most of the regional coordinators from across Canada. I've got with me today, I've got Pamela from Saskatchewan. Hi, Pamela. Hi. I've got Karen from Ontario. Hi, Karen. And I've got Leslie from the Atlantic provinces. Hello, hello. And I should also mention that all of the regional coordinators, Michelle from Alberta, unfortunately couldn't be with us today, but all of the regional coordinators had a hand in preparing for our panel discussion today. So want to acknowledge and thank Braille Literacy Canada for having us, because this is the first time we've all been together, connected, coordinated at the same place at the same time. And so let me just speak a little bit about our format today. So we have some pre-prepared questions that I will pose to the panel, which will include myself. And interspersed therein, we've got some pre-recorded student perspectives as well, because it really is students' voices and perspectives that we want to uplift through participation and engagement in the Braille Challenge. So without further ado, though, I'm going to turn it over to Karen, because Karen had gathered some different perspectives for us. And so, Karen, can I hand it over to you to do two things? One, to kick us off and to let us know a little bit more about what is the Braille Challenge and why is it so cool?
Sure will. Hi, everyone. My name is Karen Brophy. I am the lead for Braille literacy programs for CNIB Foundation. I'm part of a team called Next Generation, which is a fairly new team at CNIB. And I'm in my fourth decade at CNIB. So I started with the Braille department back when we called it that. I was hired by Darlene Bogart and a few of her colleagues. So very happy to be with you today and happy to talk about the Braille Challenge. This is an international competition that has been running for 25 years. It is run by the Braille Institute of America in California. So they develop and distribute all of the materials, but obviously they can't be everywhere, and they rely on the regional coordinators to run programs in provinces and states for students that reside there. The way it is structured is that there are 5 grade levels. These are for elementary and secondary students. So they divide into 5 different grade levels, and they have a different set of tests for each. And for the lower levels, They focus on skills like reading comprehension and spelling. And then as the kids move through the levels, the higher grade levels include advanced skills such as charts and graphs. The test materials are sent to regional coordinators, that's us, and Braille Institute provides instructions for the proctors who are going to actually administer the tests about when and how to do that. And after the testing has been carried out, if a regional is unable to mark their own tests, Braille Institute of America can do that for them. We submit our test results to them and they select the finalists. So we are 13 days away from the Braille Challenge Finals, which will be happening in Los Angeles. And each year, Braille Institute of America looks through the results from across the whole series of tests that are run, and they select the top 10 students from each of the 5 categories to attend the finals in Los Angeles and compete. And this year we have 5 Canadian students participating. So I don't know if I've covered everything, Adam. If there's nothing to add, I can launch into my part of the presentation.
But thank you, Karen. You've got the floor.
Okay. So a little bit about the Ontario Regional Challenge. 2020 was the first year that we offered the Braille Challenge in Ontario. We had been approached in 2019 by a parent who was very keen for her daughter to have the opportunity to participate. So we made that happen. In 2020, the testing was done in person at the CNIB Community Hub in Toronto. We had the tests marked on site and we held an event that afternoon to announce the winners. We had something called the Braille Carnival, which was actually presented as a sort of community engagement event to announce the winners. And we had about 100 people there. We had families, participants, competitors, friends, a team of volunteers, and the general public. And then we all know what happened in late March 2020. Everything sort of ground to a halt. I'm very thrilled that we were able to pull off the first in-person Braille Challenge event in Toronto. But of course, for the next couple of years, we switched to a virtual testing window so that students could write the tests at their home schools or wherever their TVIs were able to connect with them over the course of the shutdown. And the good part about this was that we were able to expand our regional to include students across Ontario because we weren't actually pulling them together to write the tests in person. So that was a bit of a win. And we've continued with that format. The students for the past 5 years have continued to write the tests in their home cities. And what we've done is over the course of COVID, we did the test virtually or remotely, and we did the awards presentation online. We all experienced that. What we've done now is the tests continue to be written in the students' home cities, sort of on their own, but we do pull them all together for the online celebration of the winners, to announce the winners. And we do that at an event called Braille Palooza, which I will talk about a little bit more later. Now, since CNIB Braille literacy programs already included a sort of foundational type activity called Braille Quest, we officially bundled that with the Braille Challenge because they're recently become very keen on including students who are not necessarily ready to compete or not interested in competing. It's not a format that all students are going to be interested in, and we want to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to be part of the larger Braille community. The Braille Quest, the foundational component that we run for the Ontario Regional, is actually available for students across the country. Some of our students will both write the tests and compete in the Braille Quest, which, as I mentioned, is very kind of low key. The way it works is we send them a package of materials. They can request uncontracted Braille, contracted Braille. They can ask for both. We typically send a print version of the activities so that any text readers, their teachers, or their family members can support them as they do it. And they have 3 months. It's not a sit down and do it kind of situation as it is with the test. This is something they can do as they have time over the course of a couple of months. The Braille Challenge, because it's provided by the Braille Institute of America, is currently in English only. The Braille Quest we offer in both English and French. So that's our foundational component. And I'd like to talk a little bit about the Braille Quest in terms of content, because that's the one that we get lots of kids signing up for. We get, for the Braille Challenge, maybe 5 or 6 kids competing, but we have 40 or 50 kids that sign up for Braille Quest. So coincidentally, the theme for our 2025 Braille Quest was Space, the Final Frontier. So I was happy to hear Noreen's presentation. That's been on my radar for a couple of years now. So the way we designed the Braille Quest is we have 3 different topics, very loosely written for different age levels. So we had for this year, the Nebula Ninjas, which were reading a topic about astronauts and other space jobs. That was good for early readers, maybe grades 1 to 3. Then we had the sort of intermediate quest, which was Galactic Geniuses, and that was exploring space through stories and inventions for sort of grades 4 to 7. And then the more advanced group would be the Stellar Sojourners, and that was space missions and astroethics. So obviously a more advanced topic, more suitable for high school students. So the way it is structured is that each of those 3 topics has a short essay that's written at an appropriate reading level. We send that in Braille for the students to read. They answer a series of 10 sort of comprehension questions. So we get in that sort of skill for them. We give them typically a creative writing activity that's related to their topic. And the third topic is kind of interesting because we vary it. For the youngest age group, for example, we had the third activity as a craft. So they could make a diorama, a 3D diorama of the inside or outside of a spaceship, or use cardboard to make an astronaut's helmet. For intermediate readers, the third activity was to conduct research around how gravity might affect daily living skills in space, or how astronauts could be protected from the dangers of space travel. And then for the most advanced topic, we actually made it a group project. So we asked students to develop a space mission concept and then assemble a group of their peers to sort of role play a presentation about why your space mission concept should be funded, and answer questions about whether it was ethical and whether there were health and safety issues. And I think the high school students had fun with that. So as I mentioned, the foundational portion of our Braille Challenge, the Braille Quest, runs between January and the end of March. We typically use a 2-week testing window for the Braille Challenge testing, usually mid-February. And then by April, we are ready to announce the winners and give out prizes for Braille Quest. And yeah, so we've done that the last 3 years. The first year we did in 2023, we had Braille Palooza for the first time at the CNIB Hub in Ottawa, bringing together some of the Braille Challenge competitors that we brought to Ottawa from London, or from Toronto, sorry. And obviously some of the local Ottawa students who were participating in Braille Quest had a chance to join us for the day. We did a similar program at the CNIB Hub in London in 2024. And this spring we went to W. Ross McDonald in Brantford and gave away some prizes, including Noreen's book. And I wanted to mention, because I thought of this as she was speaking. We gave away an autographed copy, actually 3 autographed copies of a Chris Hadfield book, which was produced in print Braille by Sela. And so he had sent them to us autographed. We had worked with him to have them inscribed, and we knew we would have to translate the inscription into Braille. What we didn't realize, I'm just going to hold this up, is that this is what his signature looks like. I'm hoping you can see that. He makes his signature sort of look like a rocket ship. So we had this produced in a tactile version and included that in the books as well. So that was kind of fun. We have 2 students attending the Braille Challenge Finals in Los Angeles from Ontario this year, who are repeat winners. And I'm going to ask Adam now if he can queue up an audio clip that was provided to us by one family that's participated for a few years, because who better to talk about the benefits of the Braille Challenge for students and families than some students and families.
Thank you, Karen. Yes, so much happening in Ontario. Let me cue this up for us here, gang, and share this media. Okay. Let's make sure that the sound is shared. Okay. Oh, sorry, everyone. That's my calendar. Here we are.
Hello, my name is Jana Chern. I'm 14 years old and I am in grade 8. I have participated in the Braille Challenge for the past 5 years. The Braille Challenge has made me realize just how many people there were out there who are just like me, and it truly showed that Braille literacy goes beyond the classroom. It opens doors to self-expression. This incredible competition also fosters an environment of camaraderie and healthy competition. In fact, it was through the Braille Challenge that I picked up many of my study habits that I still use today. As a student and Braille user, the Braille Challenge allowed me to cultivate my Braille literacy, hone my writing skills, math skills, and it even helped me improve my note-taking through speed and accuracy. The Braille Challenge is truly one of the biggest highlights of my school year, and thank you to everyone who helped to make this wonderful event possible.
Hi, my name is Mabel, and I'm Jana's mother. I know my child enjoys participating in the Braille Challenge and looks forward to it every year. She loves reading the interesting reading comprehension passages that are part of the contest. My child is motivated to excel at Braille literacy in the hopes of obtaining a spot in the finals. The Braille Challenge is more than just a contest. She gets to hang out for an exciting weekend with other visually impaired children from around the world. Last year at the finals, held in Los Angeles, she met students from across the US, Canada, and even the UK. As a parent, I've seen my child improve every year at Braille literacy, and the Braille Challenge Finals is simply a whole lot of fun. There's a tech show where we can check out the latest technology. There are parent workshops that I can attend. There's a pool party for the kids, and there is an awards banquet on the final night with an inspiring keynote speaker. I feel thankful to have the experience of going to the Braille Challenge Finals with my child for the past few years. We enjoy the sense of community. Being part of the Braille Challenge has reinforced the importance of perseverance and resilience. Thanks for your support.
Okay. Well, sorry, everyone. Here we
You
are.
want me to continue on? I just have a little bit more.
Very quickly, because we do have to move on.
So coincidentally, Mabel was the parent who had asked us to start up the Braille Challenge for her daughter. So some of the challenges of hosting regional for ourselves, I find that an in-person activity is key. We can't do the testing in person any longer. It's geographically challenging in Ontario, but that's why we've decided to make Braille Palooza sort of a traveling event. and advice for people who are thinking of hosting a Braille Challenge regional. Start with foundational activities to build interest in competing. This is something we are still challenged with currently, sort of recruiting kids to get used to the idea of possibly competing and writing some tests for us. So that's it for me.
Thank you, Karen. Well,
Welcome.
now we're gonna dance back across the country. We're gonna go to Pamela. Pamela, can you tell us a little bit about your event in Saskatchewan?
Yeah, we've held the event for the last 3 years in Saskatchewan. We started off just trying it out and going small. We had I don't know the amount of participants we had the first year, but every year we've got more participants from around Saskatchewan interested in the competition. So yeah, we started just with our school here at Arcola, and then the year after we opened it up to people doing it virtually in their home areas. And then last year, or in 2025, we had some people from out of town actually come to Arcola, so that was really exciting. So just every year it keeps on getting a little bit bigger and bigger, and the kids are really excited about the Braille Challenge, and I'm excited. And I'm excited to.
Sorry, Pamela, you muted there for a second.
Sorry,
That's okay.
I'm not too sure how that happened, but I'm not too sure what part I got muted on, but
Well, just that your event keeps growing year in year,
Yeah.
which is fantastic. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. And now what would you say Pamela, what would you say your biggest challenge is in terms of hosting a regional event?
One of the biggest challenges is to make sure that we get enough people to volunteer.
Mhm.
Fortunately, we do have really good support here within our school to have people go from their regular jobs to helping us for this Braille Challenge. So that was one of the challenges when we first started, was just getting the people on board to say, yes, this is an important event, and yes, we can take from our regular schedules and do this event.
Yeah, I just to add on to that, one of the things that is continually I wouldn't say a challenge in British Columbia, but it's something that every year I kind of hold my breath a little bit on, is making sure that we have that degree of community support in terms of transcribers, TVIs, parents, former students who could come and help support the day, because as I'm sure everyone on the panel can agree, is a lot of logistics that comes along with hosting an event. Thank you, Pamela. Much appreciated. All right, Leslie, we're jumping all over the place here. We're going to Atlantic Canada now. Tell us about your event, please.
Okay, thanks, Adam. I'm Leslie Anthony, and I'm a program consultant with APSI, the Atlantic Province's Special Education Authority. So we serve students across all 4 Atlantic provinces. So when you talk about logistics, yeah, that makes it a lot more difficult for sure. We have been hosting the Braille Challenge. I don't know how far back it goes, because people throughout the organization have taken on the role of coordinator throughout the time. I do remember, we'll see a video shortly of one of my former students who graduated last year. I particularly remember her first year. She was in grade 4. And I remember it because it was a Harry Potter theme, and I'm a bit of a Potterhead, so as she is too. So I do remember that. Our Braille Challenge is held through the virtual testing window as well, over 2 weeks, usually towards the end of January, beginning of February. However, that is challenging, having it completed at the home schools of our students. Atlantic Canada is no stranger to winter storms and school closures. And so it sometimes is difficult to even fit the testing within that 2-week window. But I'm fortunate to have a very dedicated community of teachers within APSI who work very hard to ensure that their students who want to are able to take part in the Braille Challenge. A couple of years ago, we also added a foundational type of level because we were finding that we had students for whom the traditional challenge through Braille Institute was too difficult. And so that was well received, and the students quite enjoyed doing the activities that went with that. The highlight, I think, of our Braille Challenge, if you ask any of the students, is the prizes. So we do celebrate and acknowledge achievement from all of our students. In the time that I have been regional coordinator, we haven't had any students who have gone on to the finals. However, one thing that I have started doing is tracking their growth. One of the challenges is to kind of maintain that motivation if students do not go further in the challenge. And we have students who maintain the level that they're at, but by keeping track of how they do each year, they are kind of challenging themselves and working towards bettering their own self. So in early spring, we have a virtual Braille Challenge celebration where we bring everybody together through Zoom and we celebrate their achievement with prizes for certain levels that students have accomplished. And there's always, in addition to the sort of swag that Braille Institute provides, we kind of supplement that through a generous trust fund with some extra prizes that the kids always enjoy to get. We usually have some type of theme that everything kind of follows along. Our theme this year was celebrating 25 years of the Braille Challenge and 200 years of Braille. So yeah, I think that would be our Braille Challenge in a nutshell.
Amazing. Thank you, Leslie. And is now a good time to share your students' perspective?
Sure.
Okay, wonderful. Well, I'll get that queued up. And thank you so much for connecting with one of your former students. I'm just gonna get that going. Oh, hang on. It auto played on me here. Let me share. Let me just share. Make sure audio. Very good. There's Alexis. Wonderful. Okay. Here we go.
My name is Alexis, or as most people call me, Lexi. I am completely blind and I am 19 years old. I have done the Braille Challenge a few times, once when I was in grade 5, and then I continued doing it from grade 9 till grade 12. I enjoyed the Braille Challenge. I enjoyed meeting students who are also like me, blind and visually impaired, all around Atlantic Canada. I enjoyed challenging myself every year with the graphs, reading comprehensions, etc. I also enjoyed the games, the prizes, the whole event. It was really fun, and as of now, recently graduated, I definitely miss them. And I also would like to thank the Braille Institute for sponsoring the Atlantic Braille Challenge, and also cannot forget the pack of Uno cards we got every time.
Well, anyone who's been associated with the Braille Challenge long enough probably has Braille Uno cards in every one of their desk drawers here and there, because it is a very common prize that we gratefully receive from the Braille Institute. And I know many of us as well are constantly scouring stores and Amazon. Just as an aside, to this day, I have members of my extended family who are digging through Hot Wheels bins at Walmart to get the Braille Hot Wheels. I see everyone shaking their head like, yep. When you're a Braille Challenge regional coordinator, the process of acquiring prizes is a year-long cycle. Leslie, thank you. I'll just speak a little bit about our event in British Columbia. We started with our first regional event back in 2013. I believe that year we had maybe something like 10 or 11 students. We now have about 50 students who participate across the province. But like everyone on the call, the majority of our participants are writing in their home communities. And so we have a virtual testing window. We do have an in-person challenge that we have hosted every year on the campus of the University of British Columbia here in Vancouver. And I'd say it's about 50-50. About half of our students participate in person because they're in the Vancouver area, or the South Vancouver Island area, can come over on the ferry, and then the other half will participate from different parts of our province. We also have quite a large foundational group, and so just to kind of reiterate what everyone has said and to clarify as well, when we say foundational, we mean materials that we're developing locally for students that are not coming to us officially from the host organization, the Braille Institute. And this is so that we can all ensure that a greater number of students can be part of the community that develops around our events. And so just to give everyone some context from British Columbia, of the 45 to 50 students that we have participating every year, this past year, 38 of them were in our foundational category. So well over half are participating in our foundational category and using materials that we here at PRCVI, the Provincial Resource Center for the Visually Impaired, are developing for them based on their Braille contraction knowledge, what they like to read, their different reading levels. Because alternatively, these are also students who may require a more adapted testing format. Because when you write the Braille challenge, it's timed. There are proctor regulations. There are rules to follow. And we have some students who might need multiple breaks, or they might need a quiet testing environment, not with others. And so in that situation, that student would write in our foundational category. I'd like to put a question, and apologies in advance to any of my panelists here who have already answered this question, but let's talk about the benefits of the Braille Challenge, because let's put our cards on the table. Part of what we're doing here is promoting the event so that we have more regional events across Canada. So let's talk about benefits to students. So I'm going to start with you, Karen. Back to you. What would you say is one of the more salient benefits to students participating in the Braille Challenge?
I mean, I think both Mabel and Jana in their recording, they mentioned the sense of community. And honestly, even when we were doing it virtually, the kids having a chance to get together with other kids who were Braille users was just invaluable. And you see that even more. That's why I kind of push, if you can work in some in-person kind of event, it's to see them all, talking together about technology and about, different approaches to using Braille. It's very special.
It is magic. You're so right, Karen. Pamela, from your end, anything to add about benefits to students?
I just found, it motivated them to study harder with Braille, take home extra reading, do some extra work at home. So in general, their Braille reading skills hopefully improved. One of the contests that the students really loved this year was how fast can you Braille the alphabet contest, right? And so anybody who could do the ABCs in Braille was able to participate in that, and that was one of the ones that the kids were really, oh, can I practice the Braille alphabet again? Can I practice it again? Right? So I'm like, yes, go right ahead. So that one was really successful that way.
Awesome. Thank you, Pamela. Leslie, talking about students, anything to add?
I guess the only thing I would add, and it's just kind of adding to what the others have said, is that it's kind of a real life application. They are choosing to do the Braille challenge for their own personal growth and possibility of a prize, as opposed to completing schoolwork or things that we ask them to do. And the other part also in terms of it can be a source of enrichment for those students who maybe are not getting as much enrichment through the normal school curriculum as well.
Oh, thank you. That's a real that is a really good point. So, I mean, really something for everyone here at the Braille Challenge, I think is the tagline, you know, especially when we're able to differentiate the experience through our foundational categories. Um, that, you know, we really do have something for everyone. And it is another word that I've heard several times come up is that celebration aspect that, you know, we often don't have enough of a community together in one place or one time to really celebrate Braille literacy. And not only what it means for our students individually, but for what it means for them as a community of learners as well. Um, okay, we've got a few more minutes before I want to turn it over to our audience, just to make sure that we have an opportunity to hear from them as well. But we've already talked about some of the challenges, the logistical challenges of hosting events, especially in a country as geographically vast as Canada. But if someone were thinking about starting a regional challenge, what's the best piece of advice that you would give them? Karen, you've already given us one, but give us another.
Okay, let me think. I mean, I think you have more support around you than you realize. I know it's a big ask to parents who are busy doing other things, but they're a resource for you. They're supporting their kids anyway, and if they can be convinced to sort of support other students in terms of, you know, volunteering on a committee, for example. Mabel wanted the Braille Challenge to happen, and she would put her hand up to be on our committee, and she's still on our committee. You know, and TVIs, I know they have huge caseloads, but we've successfully had TVIs, you know, volunteering, you know, not only to be proctoring their own students' tests, but helping us with the Braille Palooza, you know, helping us with something fun. So I think look around in your immediate circle and see who might be able to assist you.
That's great advice. Thank you, Karen. Pamela, what would you say? What would you say to someone who's trying to get things started?
Just start small, start within your own community and just do it. Going through the whole process will give you more confidence to be able to build it in the next years, because there are lots of components of it. And so just try it with a couple students, get your feet wet, and then go from there. You'll love it.
Awesome. Thank you, Pamela. Leslie, to you.
I guess the piece I would add to that is to reach out, take part in the Braille Institute's webinars that they offer. They are really supportive of the things that we are trying to do. And I reached out to them with tons of questions, and they were very responsive, got back to me, and were able to really help out a great deal in terms of knowing how to kind of put things together.
Awesome. Thank you, Leslie. Well, I'd like to maybe open it up to some questions from those who are in the audience. And I just want to address Carolyn's question in the chat right off the bat. She's asked, curious why there's no representation for Manitoba. Is there nobody who wants to host? We just don't have a regional event there yet, Carolyn. And so if there is anyone from Manitoba in the audience with us today, we'll make sure to share our contact information. You can get at us for advice. And we'll also drop in before the session is over. I'll drop the page to the Braille Institute's support for new regional events as well. Because as Leslie mentioned, there's a lot of great support there from the host organization of the Braille Challenge. Okay, well, I'm just gonna go. We're gonna do this. Gonna do this Zoom style here, and so now I don't have a name for this user. If you're on the phone and you put up your hand, let's have your question.
This is Michael, and I have a quick question about the Braille Institute webinars. how can we participate in those, and where do we go to get them and participate? Thank you.
Great question. That information will be at the link that I will throw in the chat, but because you're on the phone, I'll just tell you, on the Braille Institute's Braille Challenge webpage, there are things divided along by content for students, for parents, for teachers of the visually impaired. Then there's a section for regional coordinators, and all of that information is in the section for regional coordinators. Even prospective regional coordinators. So we'll put that link in the chat before we head off for today. But great question. All right. Next on my Zoom list, I've got Amanda. Hi, Amanda.
Hi, Adam. Hi, everyone. I am located in Fredericton, New Brunswick, and I am an avid Braille reader, and I've done the Braille Challenge once when I was much younger. I'm just wondering, the question, I guess, is to Leslie, if I would be able to help out or become a regional coordinator or do something in the Atlantic provinces.
Hi, Amanda. This is Leslie. I would love to have a connection with you and discuss how you could help out with our Atlantic Regional Challenge. Definitely. I will pop my email in the chat if that works for you, and you can connect with me.
Great. I'll put mine in the chat as well.
Thanks, Amanda.
Thanks.
All right. Oh, Sarah. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Adam. It's great to be here. Thank you so much for this great presentation. I was wondering, I love hearing about the engagement in the Braille Challenge. I was wondering how you guys built anticipation and awareness prior to the Braille Challenge to get the students knowing what it's about and excited to participate. Maybe for some of my students who are a little reticent because and the word challenge and Braille may, have certain connotations. So I'm just wondering if you guys could share some tips and tricks about getting the awareness out in a way that's like really excitement and anticipatory.
That's a great question, Sarah. I'll just jump in because I've got the floor. One of the things that I found really important was making sure that the challenge element was there. Like, we want to preserve that challenge element, but also to emphasize all of the other features of participating in the Braille Challenge. So, for example, one of the things we've had our access technology vendors come and share what's new with technology. We've had our local blind sports organizations support us every year with games and activities. And so it's making sure that students understand that, yes, it is a challenge. Yes, we're here to achieve new personal bests, but there's also that fun element. And the other thing as well is, after 13, 14 years of the Braille Challenge, the kids are just excited to see what kind of muffins I bring for the opening for the opening snack. So you said there's little things you can kind of you can point to and emphasize beyond the challenge piece. So I guess my advice would be, have a program that wraps around the challenge and is not just the challenge. I'm going to touch in with my other panelists to see if they have anything to add.
With our Braille Challenge, the kids that aren't in contests, they aren't in contests all the time, so they do get the social benefits, and they get to go play games and have food with their friends, and so that's always a big draw as well. They don't have to be in class all day. They get to have fun.
That is another major feature. Karen?
It's Karen here. So we have, of course, the foundational component. We have the testing. What I tried to do this year to see if I could recruit some kids who maybe had not fallen into that circle yet was and I find this with TVI sometimes too, they think, well, my student is not ready to compete. They're not that into Braille. The whole idea of testing, you know, if you sign up to test, yes, we would like you to do your best. We would like you to, you know, try and complete as much as possible. But if you don't, I mean, there's nobody standing over the process saying, oh my God, you didn't finish this test. So it's really a chance to just sign up and try the test and see how far you get with it. So the idea of like testing without the whole stress that is usually surrounding a test scenario. We did get a couple of kids who were willing to try it because it was like, you know what, this is not a big deal. It's a test, but just try it, see if you like it. Maybe you'll be really good at it. We don't know. So.
All right.
This is Leslie. I'll just add to that as well.
Please.
Two things. One is that even within the actual Braille challenge, students can participate at a level lower than their grade level. It means then that they are not eligible to go to the finals, but you can perhaps find a level that is at where they are at. And so again, less stress in terms of being involved, but they still get to get the prizes that Braille Institute sends out. And again, as I said, we always supplement with prizes as well. And the other thing that kind of surprised me is in terms of kind of getting the buzz going is having the theme and the slogan. It's like the kids every year say, what's the theme this year? What's the theme this year? And it took me a while to land on the theme for this year, and it fell a little flat. But you know, we celebrated a birthday with lots of blowers and party favors and whatnot, but just kind of creating that buzz around the theme is really helpful.
Thank you, Leslie. And what a great, and thank you, Sarah, for the question. Much appreciated.
Thanks, guys. These are great ideas.
Fabulous. Well, we have, I'm getting the cue that we have time for one more question. And so Edith, I'm going to go to you. What's your question?
Yeah, my question is more for the TVIs. Typically, what's the percentage of your caseload that will participate in the challenge?
That's a good question.
I'm a volunteer Braille transcriber at CNIB, so I've marked some of these over the years, a few years. So I'm interested to know, because typically when I was a student, when there were contests, it was always a very small percentage of the class who would participate.
Right. And I think just to answer from the British Columbia perspective, it really depends on the students themselves. We have some students who come back every year, who look forward to the Braille Challenge. We have some students who do it once or twice, and then that's enough for them. I think the biggest, the biggest determining factor is, can the students see themselves reflected in the Braille Challenge? Is there something there for them? And just to go back to that foundational piece, having those locally developed materials, I think, makes a huge difference. And also, as Leslie, you mentioned, having the ability for students to write at a grade level lower than where they might be means that we can find something that is both challenging and going to result in a successful, fun time as well. So, yeah, I would say it really depends, not so much on the TVI, it depends more or less on the students. Panelists, would you add anything in terms of that engagement piece?
No, just the same thing as what you said, just having contests that are available to everybody at their level makes them feel a part of the Braille challenge, and they want to participate again and again because they were successful at doing something with the Braille challenge and receive a little prize for it.
Oh, Yes, the importance of prizes cannot be understated here. And speaking of prizes, Anthony, I see you there.
Yes, thank you, Adam, and thank you to all the panelists. This was really engaging. I think a lot of people learned a lot about how this works across the country and everything that goes into it.